everyone. Again, lockdown, so we can't meet up, hence Harry being in his humble abode and me being in a garage. So yeah, this is another episode of Good Film Hunting. We're starting to consider making more video episodes in future, I think, instead of just audio recordings. But today is a special episode, hence why we're all dressed up. I feel like I need to walk around a restaurant saying, would you like to look at the wine list? Yeah, so this episode is number 7. And obviously, you see how we label it, so it only felt right that episode 007 was about 007.
Of course.
Go. Then. I'll play the music first.
Yeah, we'll be alright.
So, yes, so first off, like normal, we'll talk about any news that we've got regarding films in general, just basically what we've been doing. Any reviews, obviously Harry's got the blog, he updates reviews there.
No, there's been many in the last several months.
Yeah, no, I've been lacking. So any reviews that you want to read, go to Harry's website. Link is in the description. But it will also be on our website once I finish recording and I've copied it across. So news since we last spoke. I think while we're talking about James Bond, kind of, I think we've got to mention 2 of the biggies. So number 1 was obviously the loss of Dame Diana Rigg. So yes, the only one who could tie James Bond down.
That's true.
She led a good life. She was 90 odd.
80.
80 odd.
Yeah, 80 odd.
80,
yeah.
90. She was old. She was old.
A remarkable woman, as well as her work on Bond, just her work on Game of Thrones as well, and her other prominent roles that she had in her career. She was a phenomenal woman, and I think everyone around the time of her death spoke of how highly regarded they were to her and how it was working with her and such.
Yeah, originally probably found fame on The Avengers, which was the spy show, not Marvel related, with another James Bond alumni, Honor Blackman. She was on The Avengers as well. So yeah, I thought it maybe just made a moment just to mention Dame Diana, obviously. The other one that we woke up to this morning, which I thought was quite coincidental, was the fact that Bond 25, No Time to Die, has been pushed back again. Talking to us that live in the studio, it's Harry.
Yes, so obviously that's the biggest news, is that it was originally moved from what was a May release or an April release this year, then it was moved to October, then November, because they wanted more people to see it. But I think due to the infection rate that's happened and they want everyone to see it, they've moved it to next year, so they've moved it to May, which as a Bond fan, as a film fan, I'm a bit pissed off. But if we're being honest, I can understand why they've done it. It's genuinely a thing for concern. Exactly, for safety reasons. But here's a fun fact that I've discovered. I was talking to someone about this the other day. I was saying that the biggest gap in Bond films between, from one Bond film to another, was 6 years, and that was between License to Kill in 1989 and GoldenEye in 1995. So if No Time to Die comes out next year, if it does, it will be also a gap of 6 years between Spectre and No Time to Die. Now, people could say, oh, really it was done, early 2020, and you can yes, it was done 2020, but due to what happened in 2020, it wasn't released until 2021. And so it is this one of the biggest gaps in Bond films, and I've been waiting for a long time for this one. Because in 2015 you sort of thought, will he come back, will he, won't he, who's next to replace him? And then you just think, oh, who is it? And then eventually said, no, I'll do another one, but it will be my last one. And now that's when the news has been going off, who will be the next one, in which that's another news topic I'd like to bring on. So there was a link saying that apparently there was an insider who said that Tom Hardy was slated to be the next Bond, or in the running, or he's been asked, or he's the favourite of Barbara Broccoli. But the thing is, I love Tom Hardy. It's a fantastic actor. Love Mad Max, love Legend. I love everything he does. He's just fantastic.
Right.
But to me, I don't think he's Bond material. I just think that Bond is supposed to be a suave, sophisticated gentleman. And while I think Tom Hardy could probably play that, I just think he looks like the type that would be in the SAS or that would be a part of the army or something that
Yeah.
would link or the navy that would link to Bond's connection. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, for me, it doesn't quite, Tom Hardy doesn't match that criteria that we're after for Bond. Personally, I would have gone with someone like Henry Cavill. But that's just because I loved his work in Man from U.N.C.L.E. because he played a suave spy in that.
Yeah.
And thought, actually, I think he could portray Bond quite well. But yeah, that's what I think anyway. And but I would gladly see Tom Hardy as a Bond villain, like a real tough Bond villain that isn't just, like Bane. He's not just the muscle, but he's the brains as well. I could see that.
He could pull that off, and like you as well. I always think Henry Cavill could make a brilliant Bond. Definitely, without a doubt. I would say Bond. You think someone who he just fits the bill. He does. I remember reading the Bond novels. I read Goldfinger, and as I was reading it, I was picturing Henry Cavill, and it just fit. There is quite a few in contention apparently. So rumours on, like I say, these are just rumours. We don't know anything. If we did, we wouldn't be doing a podcast. We'd be on the film. It would be Henry Cavill, Tom Hardy, Harry Styles. Apparently, has been in the running. I don't know why he would be, because he was in Dunkirk and he wasn't that great.
Well, to be honest, he was better than I thought he was going to be at Dunkirk.
But not Bond material.
No, he's definitely not Bond material for me. Like, he's good looking and all the women will love him, but I don't think he could pull off being suave, but can't see him as Bond. No. Like, personally, I also like to add the running Aidan Turner, who plays Poldark in the TV series Poldark. I think he'd be a good Bond as well. And there's another one, but I can't remember who it was. I think Joe Norton, I think his name was in the mix. And I said yes, but I'm not sure. But no, that's who I think anyway. And Harry Styles just doesn't match that for me. He's too much of a ladies' man. I could see him in a light romantic comedy or a serious romance film, but I can't see him in being Bond. He just doesn't suit him.
There was also, I watched a YouTube clip, or it was a clip on Facebook, of roles actors have auditioned for but didn't get part.
Sure.
Cillian Murphy
auditioned Bond. It'd be interesting. I
think it was Cillian Murphy. I think it was. I can't. It was on the Letterman show. Was it Letterman? No, it would have been Letterman.
Dark Knight trilogy, and I saw that Cillian Murphy had auditioned for the role of Batman. Yeah. And you saw the test screenings, and he actually did quite good. He was pretty decent, and it was a close running between him and Christian Bale. But when Christopher Nolan said, "You know what? Christian's better," but I'll tell you what, I would love. But Cillian, however, is fantastic. Let's put him as Scarecrow. So that's kind of. I think Cillian is a great actor. I love him as Tommy Shelby, but I can't see him as Bond. I don't know why. I could probably see him as like I say, a Bond villain. Same as Tom Hardy. They both could play a good Bond villain. I could see Cillian Murphy doing that.
Yeah, no. One more thing I want to talk about quickly.
Sure.
Is a hashtag that's been going round. I think don't quote me on this. I'm not sure if it was started by him, but I don't think you worked with him when he was at the cinema. Andy was one of the managers. He does the Film File UK podcast, which I'll put a link in the description as well. I've appeared on there before. Save Our Cinemas.
Yes.
There's not enough support at the minute for the cinema industry. Obviously, loads of restrictions, and pushing the films back and back and back and making people wait is not helping. Now, we can see the point in it. It's keeping people safe, and by all means, do that. Stay at home. Keep your feet on. Watch Coronation Street, have a brew. Do what you need to do. Stay safe. But our cinema industry and the film industry needs as much support as it can get. Obviously, there are, down in London, there's open air theatre going on. Some places around the UK as well, they're trying to bring it phased returning. Obviously, there are some cinemas that are still open, so local Cineworlds, Views, so on and so forth. They're open, but not many people are going. Now, obviously, in the current climate, this is going to be difficult for everyone. But without the cinema industry, we're going to lose everything we love. It's all right just saying, oh, wait for it to go on Netflix or DVD. You saw the Oscars this year. Netflix, they were already taking on most of the prizes. More and more streaming services are being allowed onto the platforms, and it's, don't get me wrong, I love Netflix. I'm an avid watcher. I watch it every day.
And me.
But the cinema's where it all started, and to lose that, it would be a travesty, not just in the UK, but around the world. I mean, you've got people who may not go out often, but when they do, they will go shopping, or they may go and watch a film. And taking that away would be one of the worst things we could do. So please, if you can, retweet it, whatever, save our cinemas.
Please do it, guys. Because I mean, like, I fully agree with Tom there. Like, I do, like, cinema is such a great passion of both of us, as well as, you know, our adoring fans and everyone we know around the world. And it is a dying art, and as well as all of us creative lot that write and make movies and everything. And so that's something that we need to save and help with. And so by getting this hashtag out, it tells people that what side we're on and all of the above. I remember, if you follow us on Instagram, my Instagram you can follow, so at Film Enthusiast 96, and there was a post that we did that everyone within the creative industry had, if they had pictures of them doing their job, like at work. So there's pictures of me filming, there's pictures of me writing, which everything. And so I sent it out there as a wave of support, as a way to share what we do in this industry that we love and want to work in. So we appreciate all support that we can, and we get this out there, because I agree. Like, while I love Netflix and Prime and Disney Plus and all them, everything shouldn't be on there. Cinema is a great experience to still go to. I was watching the Hollywood Reporter roundtables that they do, and I love them unconditionally. Like, there was a period where I didn't watch a lot of them, but I've been recaching on it lately, and I've watched the directors, and they've asked them all, like, oh, what do you think about these streaming services? And 3 of the films that are on that table were on a streaming service. And so Martin Scorsese, who he said, you know, oh, I'm not a fan of streaming services, cinema is where everything's at. And, you know, and then he's on record said that when he was trying to get The Irishman made, no other studio said, oh, we can't give you that amount of budget for this film. But Netflix were the only team to say, yeah, we'll give you that. Like, absolutely. But obviously Martin Scorsese had conditions of, it can't just be on the streaming service, I want it in cinemas as well. And that's what they did, and they did do that for him, and it was very,
like a dry spell of a few showings, weren't they, in certain cinemas where you could watch it. I think we mentioned that in the previous episode.
We did, yes. And so I think that while streaming services have definitely gained in popularity within the last 6 months, it's within the last years, but the last 6 months have been crucial for streaming services, because their price, you know, their rates have gone up, more people are buying it, using it, and all of the above. And so I think that this is something that we need to hang on to cinema as quick as we can. Otherwise, if we lose it, then it's such a huge part of the industry, and it's something that all filmmakers will lose as well. And yeah, that it's important that we keep saving our cinemas.
Yeah. So with that bit over, try and move back up.
Well, we could talk about what we've done since we last did the episode, because I've watched, because we both watched quite a bit since then. You know, I've watched Cobra Kai, absolutely loved it. If you love the Karate Kid, you'll love Cobra Kai. I've written my first feature-length script, and I've sent it out. Like, I've sent it to Tom, I've sent it to quite a few people, and I'm still waiting for feedback. But honestly, it felt such a joy just to get that done, and I thought this was the right time to do it within lockdown. You know, all this time free, do it, and like 117 pages of love and soul were put into that script, and I'm so glad that
you were documenting it as well. So every time I went on Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook, they were posting the process, which was wonderful to see. Obviously, quite a few things happening during lockdown. So I don't know if you saw the Staged, I think it's called. David.
Oh yes.
That was filmed through. I love that. Especially the bit with Judi Dench. I love the Judi Dench bit. Obviously, there's some words on there that we can't use on here because we will get told off.
Yeah, that's not good.
Starts with F, ends in K, and sounds like duck. And who knew Judi Dench knew how to swear quite a bit. But yeah, so there's some stuff I've not been watching what I normally watch. So I have started watching the animated series, The Avengers.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not normally a big TV show kind of guy, especially animation.
Yeah.
But I am planning on watching every single piece of Marvel footage throughout
That you
lockdown. So obviously, I've seen all of the Infinity Saga.
hmm,
I've watched all of the X-Men. I've watched both Fantastic Four. I've not watched the 2015 version yet.
don't need to.
Yeah, I'm not bothering.
You skip
Uh,
that one.
and so I'm going to start on Agents of Shield.
Okay.
Slowly work my way through them. But I thought while I'm just waiting to plan everything, I'll give Avengers Assemble the animated version a try, and it's really good. I didn't expect it to be that good. So the guy who does the voice for Thor does the voice for Thor on the new Marvel Avengers game on PlayStation and
Okay.
Xbox. So it's kind of branched out into there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching that. I've been watching a lot of crime shows as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Have you watched? I watched Des. That was really good on
I've
ITV.
got it on. I've got it recorded.
It's
Uh,
very good.
well,
Very, very good.
I saw the photos, and I'm just like, when I saw the photo of David Tennant as Nielsen, I thought, oh, that's him. And then I looked closely again. I was like, whoa, that's David Tennant.
Yeah.
It's so spitting image. It's amazing. But I've been watching that Line of Duty.
Mm, it's a big one.
I've blaked the game on that one, and then I started doing a Bond marathon.
Of course. For
I am
today.
currently on. I've just finished Octopussy.
Ooh. So you've got. It'll be A View to a Kill next, and then you start working on the Timothy Daltons after that.
Yeah, and then I might also start doing a Carry On marathon,
Of
just
course.
because it's that time where everyone's feeling a bit down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Need a bit of comedy to boost us up. But yeah, been watching quite a lot of various genres.
I've been trying to get more films in because I've been watching too much TV from like
Yeah,
Netflix and Prime and all that. Trying to put more films in the canon. So I watched the Jason Bourne films last weekend. So I watched Identity, Supremacy, Ultimatum, skipped Legacy because you don't really need it, and then the newest one, Jason Bourne. And I know that's probably a contradictory thing to say on the Bond week, but
how
no,
dare you?
how dare you bring up the other JB?
But
But no, I completely love those films, and I might get into a bit to that when we sort of talk about the films in a bit length and how and what Bourne could have done for Bond kind of
yeah,
thing. So we'll get into that later on. But yeah, no. So The Boys, that's a big one. Been watching the new series of that as well. Like I say, Cobra Kai, always that is a good one. I've just started Ghosts, which is the BBC comedy series on iPlayer, because
is that the one with the Horrible Histories cast?
yeah, it is, yeah, yeah.
I've seen it advertised. It looks interesting. I want to give it a
It's
shot.
I've watched the first episode and I found it really funny because I got it recommended to me by a friend a while ago, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a watch. But then I was watching Graham Norton, the newest one, and one of the cast was on it promoting the new series, and I thought, you know what, this looks a bit funny. I might just give it a watch because I need something I need something that's like 45 minutes to an hour long, and then a half an hour thing, just in case I'm going from one to the other. So if I'm on my lunch break or if I just need something really quick to watch that isn't that, then I go between one or the other. So Ghosts is a good half an hour one for me, and it's pretty funny actually. I quite like it, and I loved the Horrible Histories cast, so it makes sense for to watch that really. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, I loved Horrible Histories.
Yeah, I did.
I used to constantly whenever it was on the red button, the karaoke bits.
Yeah,
Just like my name is
name
John
is
the
John
Second.
the Second. I love the people, and the people loved me.
But yeah, there was a point where I used to be able to recite the Monarch song. I can only
Yeah,
William, William Henry, Stephen Henry, Richard John, and then I freeze.
yeah, okay.
But it always helps me if I am doing a quiz and I need to
Yes.
the fifth king of England. It helps. But let's move on from Horrible Histories and go
Yeah.
into the world of 007.
Yes.
So, controversial question. Start off. Best Bond.
Okay. So obviously the number one answer that everyone would say would be Sean Connery because of the iconography that he presented in the role of Bond. That iconic voice, the iconic, just that word. He's an icon,
Yeah.
and that's what brought the suave, sophisticated spy to the silver screen, and that's why he should be number one. However, my favorite Bond is Daniel Craig because that's the one I grew up with. Because I started Bond quite young. I was probably about 6-ish when I saw Pierce Brosnan in Die Another Day, and then sort of within the coming months, I'd watch more of the older Bond films. So I watched Roger Moore, I watched Sean Connery, Timothy Dalton, all them, and I started getting the collection. But then when Casino Royale came out in 2006, my dad knew that I liked Bond films, and he said, we'll go see it," and it was fantastic. And so I immediately fell in love with Daniel Craig as Bond, and for me, he was always my Bond for the coming years. And I think he's brought a real sort of a real character to Bond, because in every film him as the suave spy that turns up, saves the day, and goes home. But Daniel Craig brought realism to it. He made it his own, and the character, and made it real as well. It was more than just just a suave man. And in a way, it sort of harkens back to each element of each Bond that he brought into that one role. And I think that that's what I love about it. And it's going to be sad to see him in his last one, but it's all we can do really at this point.
Yeah, no, I would be one of those people that says my favourite Bond is Connery.
Yeah.
He was my first Bond. So obviously, every Easter, every Christmas, they're always on ITV.
Yeah.
And the first ever Bond film I saw was Goldfinger. So Sean Connery is my Bond. Obviously, if I had to rank them top three, it would go Connery, Craig, Moore. But yeah, I would say it's that protection of the canon of the films that what make people love Connery. He was the first. He will always be the first Bond. It's very similar to, I don't know, Doctor Who, for example. William Hartnell was the first Doctor. Everyone would probably, of that time, who grew up in the 60s and 70s, would say their Doctor was William Hartnell. Similar to Marvel. Everyone will say, no matter what you do, no one will replace Iron Man.
That's it, exactly.
RDJ did the best job. Once you've seen him in all the films, you can't picture anyone else.
That's it.
So it's one of those where I would probably agree with most people where I say Connery's the best Bond, just because I grew up with it.
Yeah, I agree. That, and that's the thing. So for me, top three, probably Craig, Connery, then Brosnan. I'd say Pierce Brosnan was a favourite of mine because I like GoldenEye, Throne Never Dies. I do like Brosnan.
I loved the films. I loved his films, but I wasn't a big fan of Brosnan as Bond.
Fair.
It just didn't make to me an American being Bond.
He's not American. He's Irish.
He's Irish, but he lives in America. He's American. You think he's American.
But when you hear him talk normally, he doesn't have an American accent. He is an Irishman.
But it's the same with what's the film now? Oh, there's one, Robin Hood.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. Who decided to choose him?
His name would draw in the audiences there, wasn't it?
No,
and the thing is, he encompassed the character, but just not the accent. That's probably the best way to say it. It's still an entertaining film, and it's good.
Don't get me wrong. I mean,
that's the one annoying part, is that he never changed. Robin of Locksley. No, it's Robin of Locksley. Say it right. I think apparently he attempted a British accent, but it was really bad. And so because it was really bad, they just said, just go American. No one will care. Everyone will care. Everyone within the state of Nottinghamshire will care.
Yeah, no, I loved that film, mostly just down to Alan Rickman.
Oh, Alan. Classic.
He played a brilliant sheriff.
You're about to Locksley.
Kill him. But yeah, no, we're detouring again. We do this all the time. We
With
start talking about
detour.
something and we do a quick short turn.
Ah,
But yeah,
so,
no, Brosnan is not one of my favourites, but I do like
fair,
the films. I do like the films. Don't get me wrong.
fair play.
Um, the Die Another Day. That's the one with
Yeah.
Halle Berry.
Yeah, I admit it has its moments, but it's the weakest one probably of the Bond franchise. A friend of mine actually said we were discussing we were debating this the other day. He was saying Die Another Day is the weakest one, just because of the sort of how the story just didn't make sense and it was all very sort of action oriented. They didn't put a story to it and such. And I thought that he's not wrong. Like he's not wrong with that one. But
No.
I look. But it's good, but I agree that some of it is a bit too far fetched at times, and it's a bit OTT. But still, it's Bond. Like at the end of the day, a lot of them become OTT over a period of time. Like, but yeah, I think next topic. So we've got obviously Bond himself. We'll probably go on to what about the best films? Which do you think? Like, obviously, number one answer would probably be Goldfinger being, an iconic film in itself because you've got the stereotypical villain, the stereotypical henchman that is Nemesis, the Bond girl, the Bond Connery himself, the car because you've got the Aston Martin DB5 in which, as you can see, there and that one there.
Introduction of them. It's the first introduction of the gadgets as well.
That's it, yeah. No, From Russia with Love did it, as well as Dr. No, I think.
That would be like the main gadgets, so the decked out car.
Well, the gadgets of the car, yes.
Yeah.
But the gadgets in itself was done earlier, as we know. But
Goldfinger is my one.
But my personal favourite always will be, and everyone knows, one of my favourite films of all time is Casino Royale, just 2006 with Craig, just because it had a great amount of action, had a great story, great heart, and I can watch it over and over again, and I love it. I've watched it over and over again so much that I know it word for word, and it annoys a lot of people that I know it word for word.
Yeah, no.
But no, that's my personal favourite.
I would agree with the newer end of the Bond franchise. I would agree.
Skyfall.
The new ones. Skyfall
is a great one. I love it.
Is one of the best ones.
That's a close second. If
we're talking classic films, classic Goldfinger, and maybe on occasions
Spy Who Loved Me or Man with a Golden Gun.
Those were Golden Gun, yeah, Christopher
What
Lee.
we could do for each Bond. So like obviously like you say, you can have a number one favourite, but then we'll go over each Bond after which one we love from each Bond. Well, there's only one for George Lazenby anyway, so we don't need to go over George.
Yeah, but no, yeah. So Goldfinger, it's just first introduction of a laser beam in a film. Obviously, we said that the Aston Martin, the gadgets in the car, the iconic line, "You expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die."
But yeah, no, that will always be one of my favourite Bond films.
It's such a good one. It is such a good one.
The first Bond book that I read as well, Goldfinger. I read Goldfinger, then I jumped on to Diamonds Are Forever.
That is a good one. I do like Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah. But what about yourself?
Within the Connery era, or just per Bond?
So yeah, if we're going to go from, say, the classic period is from 63 to Brosnan.
Okay. Well, I'll do each Bond. Like so, within Connery, probably Goldfinger or From Russia with Love are probably personal favourites of mine. From Connery's era. We're moving on to Moore, so Roger Moore. Probably Man with a Golden Gun or Spy Who Loved Me, because you get first introduction to Jaws, so Christopher Lee as Scaramanga, and there's some great moments within that. After Roger, it was Timothy Dalton. I think I prefer Living Daylights to License to Kill. I think so. That's my personal preference. I know a friend of mine who's a massive Bond fan. Her favourite Bond was Timothy Dalton, and her favourite film was Living Daylights. I remember we'd sing a-ha's theme tune on a bus one time. It was pretty good. And Brosnan favourite would probably be GoldenEye, maybe Tomorrow Never Dies. The first two, because the other two, while they're good, they just sort of overdo it on the action a bit and the story, and they don't and the casting as well. It's a bit like, apart from Halle Berry as a Bond girl was good, but Denise Richards in World Is Not Enough was a bit, especially playing she was playing a nuclear physicist as well, and it just didn't suit her, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They did it for the male vote. They did it because they get males to see it. But what can you do? But yeah, that's probably for me. But obviously Connery's, out of all four of them, Connery's era was what defined the genre, defined Bond as we know it. So obviously there's no competition with that one. But yourself, so would like you say, Goldfinger was the one that you read the best, or that was the best one within Connery's era? But was there others within the other Bonds that you would, love more?
Man with the Golden Gun. I loved Man with the Gun, especially Christopher Lee's portrayal of Scaramanga. He was, if not one of the best Bond villains we've had. That's my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
I would say Living Daylight.
It's a good one.
And GoldenEye for Brosnan.
Yeah.
And then obviously with Craig, it's a toss-up between Solace and Skyfall.
They're good. They're very good. Well, I know quite a few people I know who've spoke of Solace, say Quantum of Solace to be specific. They don't like that one. They say it's the weaker one of the Craig era. And thing is, I can understand why they say it's weaker, but I don't maintain that it's not a bad film. I think it's a great film. It's a great Bond film, especially to follow Casino Royale, which was such a big hit and such a fantastic film in itself. Yeah, it's weaker, but it's great. It's still a great film. Like, there's some fantastic action sequences, like just the opening car chase. Like, for me, that's what drew me in straight away to that film, was just that car chase, like the build up with zooming in on the tunnel, the flashes of the car, like going from like side of the car to the wheel, then to the driver himself, all that. I loved that. And then that music. And then there was a moment where music builds up, stops. We hear the rev of engine, and then it's all just the sounds, for you film people, the diegetic sound of the car and the gunshots going off. Yeah, you see, I didn't earn that degree for nothing. And
that's a Bradford graduate right there.
That's me. And so that Quantum of Solace was a good one, but I think it was outshadowed by obviously Casino Royale, and then the Skyfall, which was a great follow-up, and then Spectre. I do love Spectre. It's a great film. Just I think it doesn't quite match what Skyfall and Casino Royale had, because it was kind of a sort of, all the three films had built to that one, and it was following on from that, really. And finally, we were reintroduced back to Spectre, the lead villain that was known back in the Connery era. So it was great to bring them back into play. But at the same time, I felt like they did it in such a great modern way, but yet for me, it just didn't quite have the same great feel as Casino Royale and Skyfall did. And they were brilliant. Skyfall was obviously to celebrate the 50th anniversary at the time, back in 2012 and such, and they did a fantastic job. Sam Mendes, like, what a great director to choose it as well, and a phenomenal cast.
Bond villains.
Oh, I do like me villains
as well. So your Odd Jobs and your Jaws.
Yep.
Any particular preference?
Well, I think there's a lot of, like, you've got the stereotypical villains, like you've got I can never remember his name. I want to say is it Strofield or
Blofeld?
There's Blofeld. I know there's Blofeld and Goldfinger, but the one in Spy Who Loved Me, it was called like Strafield or Stravas or something.
Something like that.
Stromberg. I think it was Stromberg. I think. Yeah. So his goal was to destroy the world, to create a new one. He was going to flood the world so that he could start all over again, basically start Waterworld. Yeah. And so every villain kind of had a reason to destroy the world or to start again or everything. But I think the more interesting villains are the ones that work on, say, a smaller scale, or that have a vendetta, if that makes sense. So like for me, Le Chiffre is a great villain within Casino Royale because he's a desperate man. He's an accountant for all the villains of the world. And when he's out of money, because he bets it the wrong way, which Bond foils, he's a desperate man that needs the money back. So when he loses the poker game later in the film, in about the third act, maybe second act, then he's sort of like, he's a desperate man. You know, he starts, you know, weeping blood. He's like shocked. He grabs Bond. He steals Bond. Does the classic torture scene, which for you gentlemen, you may want to cover your eyes for that one. Like, 'cause it's not pretty if you've seen it. Like, you'll never look at a rope the same way again. But no, just in that scene, that was a man that was desperate. He needed that money. He couldn't just, and that for me felt great as a villain, because he was a desperate man who thought, oh, I've got the brains, I could easily win this. No, he didn't win it. He lost out so badly, and that's why I like. But I like the other villains as well, like, because Green in Quantum of Solace, he was a businessman, but when he was called to fight, I believe he put this in trivia. He was on about how his fighting style was of a desperate man, or like a wild animal. Like, you know, if provoked, he would just like go for it. There was no like method to it, if that makes sense. It was just like wildly swinging an axe, wildly swinging his fists and a bit of metal, and that's what made him sort of like a man. And Silver in Skyfall, I thought, was brilliant, because he was a brilliant tactician as well as a madman, and that some of that madman put it on show, and that's what attracted me to him as a villain, was that, you know, he, you know, you couldn't take your eyes off screen, because he was, you know, what he'd gone through processed him
Yeah.
into that way that he was. So I think that's why I think is that villains need to have, like, yeah, you could destroy the world or destroy, you know, MI6 or whatever, but I think if you have sort of a personal vendetta, then that's what it's for. But you can't not acknowledge Blofeld being for such a iconic villain in the Bond world, especially played by Donald Pleasance in You Only Live Twice. Worksopian man, for those who didn't know, like born in Worksop, good old Worksop. And so, yeah, no, he was, you know, Blofeld's probably one of my favorite villains, just because of the iconography, and then brilliantly replayed by Christoph Waltz in the Craig era. Oh, legendary actor. And yeah, so probably Blofeld and Le Chiffre are probably my personal favorite villains. In terms of henchmen, you can't not forget Oddjob or Jaws being iconic as they are. Or I think his name's Brandt in From Russia with Love. He was the blonde one with the suitcase that fights Bond, you know, in the train.
Yeah.
I think he was iconic because he was built as this like Russian, you know, like, you know, this soldier, this assassin that was built. And, you know, they got, I forgot what it's called. What's it called where you got like the rings that you put on here? A knuckle duster, isn't it? Yeah, brass knuckles. Like, proper went for him, and he just like, like, he just took it. And that's what made him iconic, is that you couldn't beat that. And I think it was replicated when you had, I keep forgetting his name, Dave Bautista play Mr. Hinks in Spectre, in that he was this big gargantuan of a man, silent, and all he was done was to build to kill, and that's what made it iconic, kind of thing.
No, I think I would go, again, calling back to the earlier eras, Blofeld, yes.
Yeah.
Goldfinger, Auric Goldfinger. I think Silver as well from Skyfall. The way that Javier Bardem played him was brilliant. Chose the perfect actor for it. His little idiosyncrasies and his movements really made the character. And I'm not ashamed to admit that I full on cried when he killed Judi Dench. I was emotional. That is probably one of the very few movie deaths I've ever actually cried at. I've just noticed that the tuxedo is affecting
your camera. Yeah, gotta be careful.
I'm going to end up looking like Zordon in a minute, and just a massive
Rangers.
You have been called to protect the world. No, Oddjob. I found Oddjob quite funny.
Yeah.
And his Austin Powers counterpart, Random Task, which was amazing. But yeah, though, if we are talking about Bond henchmen, you can't get any worse than the icon that is Jaws.
Oh yeah.
He was amazing. One Bond henchman that I didn't really like was, I forget her character's name. It was Grace Jones.
Oh, Mayday.
Mayday. She was the henchman to Christopher Walken. I didn't really like her.
Fair.
But other than that, I think Bond films really do create the perfect characters, and then they find the exact actor for them. So I wouldn't be able to imagine anyone other than Donald Pleasance in the original films.
Yeah, yeah.
Bond. I wouldn't be able to imagine anyone playing, I don't know, Q or M. The timeless the films and the characters that they make, the actors that portray them are amazing.
Yeah.
But there's so much that we could talk about with Bond. So much so that I have got a random trivia list.
I like trivia lists.
So this is my trivia, and I'm going to do a quick quiz with you, Harry.
Oh,
okay.
Cool. Go on.
Let's play Bond or not Bond.
Okay.
So, James Bond was originally a novel before a film.
True.
Which year did the novels begin publication?
Ooh, was it 57? I think. Oh no, it might be. Was it 52?
53.
53. Oh.
And then the first film was
Technically, it was 57 with Casino Royale, which because that's it. Because everyone thinks it's Connery with 62, but there was another Bond film. There was a Casino Royale. It was kind of a comedy.
Yeah.
Which he was like, which Fleming wasn't. It was like, I'm not sure. So then when they did it with Connery, he was like, okay, I'm happy with this. Let's leave it at that.
They refer to that as the official Bond, Doctor No.
Yeah.
Which was in 1962.
Like Never Say Never Again, that's not an official Bond film, but it is a Bond film. Like Casino Royale is in 1957, but that's not the one I count. I count what's within the actual franchise itself.
You know what? I might actually watch the 1957 one tonight. If I can find it, I'll watch it.
If it's on TV and ITV, I'll give it a watch, but I'm not in any rush to see it.
Well, no, it's similar to the Pink Panther films, that comedy aspect.
Yeah.
But the original James Bond was what profession?
You said it earlier. Ornithologist.
He was an ornithologist, and that is a fancy
which they reference in other films. They reference in quite a few of the other films in Bond.
Fancy word for bird watcher. He was a doctor, and Ian Fleming asked if, pestered, he could use his name, and he did. But what is the official job title of James Bond?
It's not Secret Agent because this was on QI. His official title is he's a commander for the Royal Navy, isn't he, or something like that? So he's Commander Bond. He's
Commander James Bond of Her Majesty's Royal Navy.
That's it.
To MI6 in the films.
And he joins MI6 later on because he starts off in the Navy and then they bring him in as a spy.
So let's have a look. Do you know that the last film ever watched by President John F. Kennedy was a Bond film?
I did not know that. And can I guess which one? Because if Kennedy was killed in 1963, then the last one he watched was either From Russia with Love or Dr. No.
It was From Russia with Love. He watched that and he died the following day.
Oh, God.
So,
conspiracy theory.
Bush did it. Right. So, Ian Fleming used a gold-plated typewriter to type the James Bond novels. True or false?
I want to say true, but there might be some falseness in that. Because I think, like people say, "Oh, I have a gold-plated typewriter. I have a gold-plated pen," but you don't use it. Like I'd have it on display, but really use my rubbish typewriter to type everything. But I'm going to say true.
And you'd be correct.
Oh, thank God.
He used a gold-plated royal typewriter to write the James Bond novels, and then once he was happy with the draft and the completion, he would then take it to the publishers and they'd do it on a normal computer.
I see. Okay.
So Goldfinger, we've already mentioned, was a game changer. It was the first movie to feature a laser beam. Driving an Aston Martin and the gadgets. So we can't really use that question because I've already mentioned it.
Yep, that's fine.
the movie's opening sequence is the iconic "Down the Gun Barrel,"
Yeah.
and that wasn't what any of the actors in the first three films. So
No, it was a stuntman, I believe,
yeah,
was Bond walking across. That's why he was wearing a hat, was because it wasn't Connery. And then it wasn't until Connery's later films that it was actually him. And then when it got changed over again to Lazenby and more, he changed it each time. And it's iconic. Because I found it weird when Craig didn't do it in sort of a few films. Obviously, he did it in a different way for Casino Royale, and then he did it a different way. I think he did it in Quantum of Solace. Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, but each one was unique. You couldn't just like leave it out. It had to be in. Because I found it weird when they put it at the end of the film. I'm
yeah.
like, no. It's better at the beginning because it sets it up. That's
It
how
does,
it is.
it does the thing, doesn't it, where it pans across and he's walking and he
Mm,
shoots it and then he goes da 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 and then it expands into the film.
yeah,
Makes sense at the end. But yes, it was a stuntman for Doctor No from Russia with Love and Goldfinger, and then the following films it was the actors.
yeah.
But yeah, the stuntman was called Bob Simmons.
Ah,
Um,
fun
so
fact: in when Connery did it, that if you notice this later on, guys, when you watch the films, so when it's Connery himself, there's like a little. He goes on his knee and he does like a little wobble. Like that was obviously unintended. Like he was supposed to just get down knee and do it normally, but because he wobbled a bit, everyone kind of like apparently that they liked that there was that realness to it that because he had that
yeah,
wobble, so they kept it in. But yeah, that was Connery, and he had a bit of a wobble in his knee. Bless him.
I'll keep an eye out for that. I've not noticed that before.
Yeah, I was
Um,
watching a thing on all the gun barrel sequences in all the films, and it told you like little trivia per one. So it told you about the stuntman, it being Bob Simmons, and then it would tell you about, oh, this was the first one to use CGI, this was the first one to do this, to do that, and all the above there.
um, the name of James Bond came from the ornithologist.
Yep.
Who was the character based on?
The character was based on was it, was it like another was it a naval officer or something that Fleming had met like in passing off with drinks, something?
It was Ian Fleming himself.
Oh, oh, that's
Uh,
interesting.
talk about a big ego boost.
Huh.
Yeah, so Bond, the character, is based on Ian Fleming, uh, who was a former spy in the military.
Oh.
After he retired, he obviously started writing the James Bond films and used his
Seems to
experience.
be seems to be a lot of like ex like military or soldiers then take on these stories because you got like Robert Ludlum who worked with the CIA. You had Tom Clancy that was part of the
And
Air Force. Yeah, yeah.
AIS and so on.
John le Carre. He had quite an influence within the community of the espionage world of espionage, and
Yeah,
so apparently he's like very well protected. Like there's people around him because there's people that still might go after him. So he has like a team of people around. Because Hugh Laurie told a story about how it was John le Carre's birthday, and he was there as entertainer. So he's playing the piano, and then I think a bang went off from like a party popper or a balloon. So everyone was like, get down, everyone down on the ground. And Hugh Laurie's like, I'm just a piano player. Like, but it was the fact that everyone took it so seriously with John le Carre. And I wouldn't have thought that. But at the same time, you think like with Litvinenko, for example, Alexander Litvinenko, who died of radiation poisoning because he was going to write a novel depicting what happened in Russia and all the bad things that happened against like Putin. And then, but obviously they took him out before he could relinquish anything.
with a polonium injected umbrella, which is very Bond in itself.
No, it was just standard polonium put in a teapot.
There was who was it that got attacked with an umbrella? There was a Russian defector, I think. It was in the news, and they used it. It was pretty much a Bond gadget. It was an umbrella, and at the bottom where the spoke is, you press a button on the that normally puts the umbrella up. If you press that twice, a needle, a syringe would come out.
Ah,
I'll try and find the article and send it to you. It's a really amazing read. It's very, very Bondish. I might even put a link in the description. But yeah, so Bond was based on Ian Fleming, who was a former spy and loved his martini, shaken and not stirred.
Of course he did.
What was Bond's gun of choice until a fan complained?
I think he always liked a Beretta, like I think it was a Beretta, because they reference this in Doctor No. He starts off with a Beretta, but then M says, "Oh, take this Walther PPK instead, because it'll be easier for you to carry around and it's better."
Yeah,
And that's it exactly. So he had a Beretta, but then fans, like you say, complained. So
yeah,
then Fleming was like, "Fine, I'll make it a Walther."
yeah. It was a
And
Beretta 418,
mm,
and a fan wrote to Ian Fleming complaining that it was a lady's gun.
God,
Don't know what a lady's gun is.
a pea shooter.
Potato gun.
Yeah,
World is not enough is not just the name of a movie. What other link does it have to the Bond franchise?
it's the motto or the slogan of the Fleming family or something like that. So it
Yeah,
was
it's Bond's family motto. The world is
yeah,
not enough. So if you watch Skyfall, obviously when it's driving down the drive, you've got the Skyfall sign, but on the door, it's got world, obviously in Latin, but it's got the world is not enough.
Oh, I didn't know it was in Skyfall, because I knew that obviously it referenced it within World Is Not Enough,
Yeah,
and that it was old family motto. And I remember I had a principal at secondary school who I used to have like Bondathons, we called them. Like we'd do like trivia questions and we go back and forth with each other. And she said to me like so in the yearbook at the end of the year, she put like, who am I going to have Friday Bondathons with now, kind of thing. And then basically she went into, saying good luck, best of luck to you. Remember, the world is not enough, Miss Hall. And I was just like, oh, like, and
that's a,
I've still got it. I've still got the year. I call it a yearbook, but really it's just like it's like a planner, but each one has like different writings from everybody that was at
yeah.
school with, and teachers and that, and it was very sweet. And
I
and
never
she
got a yearbook when I left.
no,
I never got one. I
well,
got
we had to buy our yearbook, but I had like a little, I just had another little book that I didn't buy. It was just like an old planner that was given to me.
yeah,
And I just thought, I'm not going to use it. It's like 10 years too old, but I wanted people to write in it. I needed something to write in. And I thought, because each calendar month had or calendar day had a little tab where you could write in, I thought, oh, people can write in each tab,
yeah.
so that I can sort of look at each one and everything. So yeah.
Another. So this is. I'm skipping question 11 because it's not really. It's just that the Golden Eye in Jamaica was the home of Ian Fleming. It's now
I
one
was
of
going to say that was the name of his home. That was it, because I knew it
yeah.
wasn't Goldfinger or the world's not enough. The motto was the world is not enough, but his, like I say, his residence was called Goldfinger. Yeah,
Golden Eye.
Golden Eye. Sorry, Golden Eye.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Daniel Craig has a clause in his contract, even after he leaves Bond, that he has the right to take any Aston Martin from the manufacturer.
What? Oh, is it true or false? Oh, I want to say false, because I know there's a story of Rachel Weisz, his wife, for one of his birthdays, bought him an Aston Martin V12 Vantage Roadster for his birthday. So he got that. But I want to say false, like, because I know that Pierce Brosnan talk of that when they did Die Another Day, he got a free Aston Martin Vanquish. But the way it worked is, he said, apparently the one that they had made for me was being driven to me. It was on its way, but it didn't arrive on the day. So he rang them up and said, "Where's my car?" And they went, "Oh, I'm really sorry, Mr. Brosnan, but it's broken down and it's crashed. So we're making you a brand new one, and we're going to get it sent out to you again." But there was a problem with it. And so he said he had that for a long period of time, and it had his name in, it had 007 all written on it. So I think you would be given a free Aston Martin, but I don't think he'd put it in his contract that anytime he wants an Aston Martin, he can get one. So I'm going to say false on that one.
No, so it's true.
Oh, oh.
Aston Martin gave the permission for in the contract to have a clause stating at any point during his lifetime, Daniel Craig can walk up to any Aston Martin dealership and say, "I want that one,"
Really?
and he'll drive away with it.
Seriously?
Seriously.
My God. I'm putting that in my contract if I do a Bond film.
Yeah, so I want that car, and if you could just fill it up.
Just wrap it up for me,
Yeah.
and I'll take it out. No need to wrap it. I'll take it straight out.
I'll just drive it. It's fine, mate. It's fine.
Just give me the key. Just give me the key. Be right.
Get me a can of pop out of that vending machine. I'll put that in cup holder.
And a Kit Kat. I need a break.
Oh, yeah. I love Kit Kats. George Lazenby
Mm.
is one of the lesser Bond actors. No,
Only has one.
How did he get the role?
he was a model, so I think he just sort of like people. So I can't remember who saw it, but I think it was one of the producers saw his work as a model and thought this man has the look of Bond. So let's bring him in and audition him. And even though he was Australian, he did quite well with the accent. However, another fun fact, and this is separate, but he puts on a voice when he's with the ladies in Blofeld's. I think they're called the Angels or something like that, the Angels of Death. And when he's at their complex, he puts on like a funny voice to distinguish himself between Bond and this character that he plays. And he couldn't do the voice, so someone else did that voice that he puts on. But his normal voice, or the voice he uses for Bond, is fine. Because I thought somebody told me that, and I thought, oh, so his whole voice is not his own voice then? And they went, oh no, he did the voice for Bond, but not this character he's portraying.
Right.
But back to the question. Yeah, I think it was because he was a model. They recognised because he had that look, that chisel jawed look, and thought he'd be good as Bond. It was done on looks.
He wasn't an actor when he was interviewed for the role. He met the producer wearing a suit, a Rolex, and a new haircut. He made up movies on his resume, and he managed to convince the management to give him the role of Bond.
Jesus.
So he on his resume, he would probably say, "I was in all these films," and he wasn't an actor. And his first role was Bond. So
what do you know?
You can't get any bigger than that, can you?
You really can't.
So talking of contracts, what one clause was in Pierce Brosnan's contract that sounds strange?
Oh, it wouldn't be something as standard as I need a trailer or I need this or I need that. Was it he got to have control of the sex scenes or something like that? Or...
No, this would be part of the contract that MGM and the Bond lawyers would have done, not Brosnan.
Okay. Oh, I see. Could it be that anytime he didn't like the script, he could walk away? Or if he got injured, they had to pay him? Or
his contract prohibited him from wearing tuxedos in any movie outside the franchise.
Serious?
He could not wear a tuxedo in any film while he was...
But he could wear a suit, just not a tuxedo?
Wear a suit, but he couldn't wear a tuxedo.
Oh my God. That's weird.
While he was Bond, I presume now he's no longer Bond, that he can tuxedo all he wants. But while
that darn contract, I still can't do it.
I can't even go to a wedding now with casinos. But yeah, no, he wasn't allowed to wear a tuxedo in any other film. I presume he could do it in his own private life, so if he was going to a party of some sort, but in any other film, he could not wear a tuxedo.
I did not know that, huh?
Yeah.
No.
Sean Connery, who taught him how to fight in Never Say Never Again?
Was it the current Bond at the time, in '89? No.
Someone you would think would have any affiliation with Bond.
Schwarzenegger?
No, not far off.
Stallone?
Steven Seagal.
Seagal? Oh.
And he got so angry at Connery that he broke his wrist.
Wait, he broke Connery's wrist?
He broke Connery's wrist. He got so annoyed with him not following instruction and failing in his lessons, he broke his wrist.
Fuck. I'd have sacked him on the spot right there if he'd done that. If I was Sean Connery, one of the most iconic actors in all of history, and this guy's broken my wrist, I'd have been like, you're shacked.
He could have just said it was an accident, because there's no way of proving it was on purpose. But he broke his wrist.
Oh, fuck.
You mentioned this earlier on. What's Bond's most popular weapon? And who also used it in history?
Walther PPK, and in history, it was used primarily within World War II. So I want to say soldiers within World War II, maybe German spies, I think.
You're getting warm. You're getting warm. It's World War II and it's German. Well, I'll say Germany's Austrian.
Hitler.
It's the gun Hitler used to kill himself.
Ah, okay.
So maybe Fleming used that as a metaphor for getting rid of evil in the world. I don't know. But it's the model that Hitler used.
Okay.
Who is the deadliest Bond? I feel like Sandy Toksvig.
Who is the deadliest Bond? Anyone? I think he's probably killed more. I want to go with Brosnan. Even though he's got less films, I still feel like he's probably killed a lot of people compared to Connery and Moore. Even though they had more films, they didn't probably kill as much. So I'll say Brosnan.
And you would be correct.
Aha!
Pierce Brosnan Bond killed 47 people in GoldenEye. So in one film alone, he killed 47 people.
Wow. There you go.
Sean Connery, what piece of equipment or attire did he have to wear throughout his entire Bond film?
A wig.
A wig, yes. He started going bald at the age of 21.
Yep, and well, it's because it's a running joke in Phoenix Nights where they're on about like one of the characters, Paddy. They say he's always going bald, but they're on about, so his mate Max says, "Oh well, no, look at Sean Connery. He's a great man. He's gone bald when he was young, you know." And they start naming all the films where he had a wig. So Highlander wig, you know, he's not about Bond wig, this film wig. And he's like, Avengers, wig.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he were bold in the Avengers. He was. No wig, no hits. Shit.
I love Phoenix Nights.
Yeah, no, he had to wear a wig. And it was a very good looking wig.
Who's the only Bond to travel to space?
Moore, Moonraker, 1979.
And who's played... No, that's not the question. Roger Moore and Sean Connery have both played Bond how many times?
Connery did it 6, 7 if you count Never Say Never Again, and Moore did 7. I've gone through this like in my head multiple times.
Yeah, so they both played 7 because they had to Never Say Never Again as a Bond.
Even though I don't count it, people keep saying, "Oh no, it is a Bond film." Like, yeah, it's a Bond film, but it's not associated with the Bond franchise, so that's why I don't count it. Because I can do. Because I have a. Everyone knows this. They know us very well. Like I can name all Bond films in a row from like very first to the end, and in that list, I don't include Never Say Never Again. It's just it makes it too complicated. I include all the.
It confused me when I was doing the Bond stuff for Bond 25. I'm like, but it's not the 25th.
No.
It's but bonus Bond facts: 3/4 of James Bond female lovers tried to kill him.
Sounds about right.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. The Aston Martin barrel roll stunt in Casino Royale broke the world record for the most barrel rolls.
7 or 8, wasn't it? Something like that.
Around that, and it was assisted by a cannon.
An air cannon, yeah. They put it because the car, in its beautiful aerodynamics, couldn't roll. So they tried to flip it and they couldn't. So they said, right, let's put an air cannon in. And when you get there, so bung, and then it managed to get it going and rolling.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the best crashes in a film I've ever seen. And Watch Mojo agree, number one crash in a film was Casino Royale, because it's that beautiful moment where he's chasing. He's like, oh, it's a car chase. It's getting exciting. And then he sees Vesper in the road. And he's immediately like, I've got to turn. And then the car you just see the beautiful editing cuts where it just goes on its side. And then in that sort of slow motion way, it just, crashes. And because apparently in the original novel, the Casino Royale, it was originally a Bentley that he had. And they talked about how in the novel, the car went into a thing, the lights circled the night sky. He's on about how it turns and rolls. And it was just brilliant. Love it. Absolutely love it.
1994 was a very special year for Bond. Why? Well, it's not really a special year for Bond, but it's got something to do with Bond, otherwise I won't ask you.
Would it have been his 100th birthday or something like, not 100th, like maybe his 50, I want to say 50th birthday or something like that, because was he born a certain year? And so, like say he was 44, so 94 would have been his 50th birthday in terms of the novels or something like that.
Possibly. I mean, I've kind of, the question as I've read it doesn't make sense. So before 1994, the British government did not officially acknowledge the existence of MI6.
Oh, so after 94, it was like, we're here.
After 1994, they said, yes, James Bond is one of our staff. But before that, they couldn't confirm nor deny the existence of MI6.
I see.
So a lot of people thought it was just a made-up organisation up until 1994, and then the intelligence service says, "No, we exist.
We're here. We're up
We've got a big building on the
live.
Embankment in London. Come and say hi and maybe blow it up in a few years."
It's on display fully
Yeah,
in
hiding
in London, so it's an easy target. But I suppose in reality, they'll have something else. They'll put it somewhere else.
Spectre. What does it stand for?
Oh, I used to know. Something terrorism. Bleeder. Right, you might as well say. It'll click the moment you say. It's like, go on.
Yeah, it's the Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge and Extortion.
That's it.
Yeah, Spectre. Falls off the tongue. The 00 prefix on 007 indicates what?
That he's the seventh agent of
No, so
the line.
the 00 bit. What does the 00 stand for?
Oh, is it to do with like, I don't know, is it like a serial thing or something like that?
No, so the 00 is the license to kill.
Oh, okay. So if you have 10, do you not have the license? Do you just have the license but not to kill?
You've got the license to wound and maybe slap around a bit, but not kill. Yeah, so 00.
07.
Yeah, so the 00 section of MI6 is the license to kill. So 007 was assigned to Bond in reference to a key intelligence achievement in the First World War for the breaking of German diplomatic code.
I see. Okay.
And who was the most unlikely Bond girl?
Ooh.
Who was a Bond girl that you wouldn't expect to be a Bond girl?
Ooh. Do I get a hint or? Well, I was gonna say maybe Honor Blackman, maybe. No.
Okay. Wrong. You're going too far back. More recent.
Oh, it's more recent.
More recent. Who was a Bond girl that you wouldn't expect to be a Bond girl or Bond woman, should I say?
Was it Monica Bellucci?
No.
No. Leia Seydoux? No.
She's not really classed as a Bond girl in canon, but the eldest and the most unlikeliest Bond woman ever to be was Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, for the Olympic opening.
Yeah, she was technically referenced as a Bond girl, so she's the eldest Bond girl. She was 60. She was about 86 at the time.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah.
So she was the oldest Bond girl in history, and she jumped out of a helicopter. God bless her.
I know. That was a good sequence that I did it. I found it quite funny, and she's such a bless her. She she was all for like, good evening, Mr. Bond, like, good evening, Your Majesty. Like I love all the memes that kind of followed, like when the two of them were walking down the corridor together. It's like, make it look like an accident, like, so you want me to take out Mr. Corbyn or blah, blah, like, so Mr. Trump, I've dealt with it, madam, like, kind of thing. Makes me laugh.
It's just the bit where he stood in the drawing room for a while and he just goes, "So, Mr. Bond, hello.
Good evening, Mr. Bond."
I've been expecting.
If you guys wanted to watch it, it's on YouTube. I'm sure it's very straightforward.
Again, it's another thing I will probably link in the description. Though you can just search 2012 Olympic opening.
The only time Danny Boyle's probably directed a Bond film at that point.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, he's got the. I think he's got the gumption to direct another one. I think he would do a good job.
He would do a good job, but the problem was that what he pitched it being a Russian villain, I think. And obviously at the time there was a lot of tension between Russia, but he also wanted to kill off Bond, which was like, the producers were like, no, you can't kill off Bond. He's, this iconic character. I think if you were to do a sketch on, or a film where Bond is a lot older and he's reaching the end of his career, then yes, kill him off, but don't kill him off while he's still young, if that makes sense.
I love
You
it
know,
when they said no because there's too much tension with Russia. They did Russia with love in the Cold War, for God's sake.
different time, the 60s.
Yeah. But any Bond trivia you have?
You said a lot of them anyway. Like the car flipping one was going to be one I'd bring in. No, it's probably about it really. I remember there's a great documentary by I can't remember the actress's name, but she plays the Bond girl in Living Daylights, and she goes and meets all the previous Bond girls and just talks to them about what it was like being a Bond girl, what it meant to their careers. Like, some have called it a curse because there was an Italian actress who played one of the villains in it was either, I think it was Thunderball, or yeah, it was Thunderball. And she talked about how she was an Italian actress and she was very beautiful and very great, and she'd done a lot of work before. But after the Bond film, she'd come back home ready to work with all these great Italian directors, and they wouldn't even see her. They just, like, no, go, no. I don't know if it's just because she played a villain, or if it's because I don't want to say sold herself out, but, like, put herself in a big franchise like Bond or something. But all the great directors didn't want to meet her. And I just thought, well, that's such a shame, because I think if you were in a Bond film, whether it was good or bad, to be a Bond girl, like, it's iconic. Or a Bond woman nowadays, because obviously now a Bond girl's kind of put as, a bit sexist and stuff like that. So we obviously got to keep with the time that we're in with Me Too, which is why I love what they're doing with the Bond women now, because, like, if you look in No Time to Die, for example, all the three main Bond girls, so you got, Ana de Armas, Léa Seydoux, and she plays Numi, I think her name is, and I can't remember the actress name, and I'm really sorry. I knew it off by heart.
In No Time to Die?
Yeah.
It's her from Captain Marvel, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I
Um,
can't remember her name without looking it up.
hang on.
I did know it. I did know it once.
Let's have a look.
Oh, my package has been delivered.
What wonderful podcast filmers we are, doing research in the middle of the recording.
Yes, we would have done it before. Here we go.
Rambo.
Lashana Lynch, that's her name.
Yeah, she played Rambo, didn't she? Rambo in Captain Marvel.
She did, yes. Yeah, so Lashana Lynch, yeah, all those characters are such, like, strong female characters that I think that's something that we need to promote more within Bond films. And they have been doing that over the last 20 years, I'd say. Yeah. And so getting into that, and that's a good thing. Or 30 years even, because it can go back to License to Kill, where you've got, like, the secret agents that are from CIA or all the way back. So there is a lot there.
Yeah. I think one last thing we should discuss Bond related before we wrap it up. Bond themes.
Oh, we do like our Bond themes.
So before we started recording, when Harry joined the call, I played the theme song, the theme which was made famous in Doctor No. So the dun 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 dun. But is there a particular Bond theme you like, or maybe vice versa, Bond theme you don't like?
I love "You Know My Name" by Chris Cornell, not just because it was in Casino Royale, but because it was different than every other Bond theme. Because every other Bond theme was very dramatic and very like a beautiful piece of score, and it just stood out, and especially with the film like Casino Royale and the message that the song was prevailing, and that's what I thought was brilliant about it. But I love Adele's Skyfall. That's iconic. I'd listen to that on repeat. Sam Smith's Writing on the Wall. I love that. Which both won Oscars and well deserved. And all the classics, anything with Shirley Bassey that she's done. Tom Jones' Thunderball, obviously a classic. Got Goldfinger. What's another one? Living Daylights, that had an iconic one with Aha. There was so many good ones. Man with the Golden Gun, Lulu.
Some of my favourites is Goldfinger. Diamonds Are Forever. So she really is the Queen of Bond. You've got what's it called now? It's Paul McCartney's one.
Wings, Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die.
Nobody Does It Better.
Oh, Carly Simon, classic.
One that I don't like is View to a Kill.
I like A View to a Kill. Why?
I don't know. It just gets on my nerves every time it's on.
Can we dance into the fire?
I honestly, I can't stand it. If it comes on the TV, I turn it off. And I normally like that era of music. But yeah, no, I don't like View to a Kill.
Fair.
And there was another one that I didn't like, which I can't remember. License to Kill.
Yeah, it's all right, but it's not the best one. Once
Yeah.
I got my sights on you.
Yeah, that was Gladys Knight, weren't it?
It was, yes.
I wasn't a big fan, but yeah, classic Bond themes. That's my go-to, Goldfinger.
Oh yeah.
So I watched an episode of Never Mind the Buzzcocks, and
yeah.
on the intros round they had to do Goldfinger, and ever since I watched that, all I do now is I just love it. I used to listen to Goldfinger on my walk to school.
Sure.
Because it does get quite, and Living Let Die, because it gets quite upbeat. And I used to have to walk up like a hill like that. So it used to get me in the mood. But yeah, there's only those two Bond songs that I really don't like. But everyone's different. Everyone has different opinions, obviously. So
if you guys have any opinions, please let us know. Tell us what your favorite Bond actor, your favorite film, theme. Put it in the comments below. Let us know, and we'll do what we can.
But yeah, I think we're gonna call it time there because the car's nearly done.
Yeah, and yeah, Q's outside. He's getting bored.
We've got that poker match as well. So.
Oh yes. I'll see you at the casino, old boy.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for watching again. Hopefully this one's not been as long as the previous ones. I don't think. I mean, the last one was 1 hour and 38 minutes. If you sat through that, you deserve a medal because I can barely listen to my own voice for 5 minutes before I start to go home.
All mine.
But yeah, so I want to thank Harry for coming on again.
I want to thank Tom for setting this up.
Yep, so this has been 007 Cast, the name's podcast. So take care, stay safe everyone. Remember, save our cinemas, look after yourself, tweet us, message us, text us, email us, do what you want, wave at us in the street if you see us.
Even with masks on.
But yeah, take care everyone. Thank you very much for watching.
See you guys. We love you.
I should be on like the stage at the Oscars.
We should all be at the stage of the Oscars.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Right, take care and stay safe.